Ever feel something's off about the internet? A lot of bot-type comments under social media posts. This is the dead internet theory. The theory suggests that a large portion of the internet isn't populated by humans, but by AI and bots. A lot of those you interact with online might not even be humans. These bots generate content and engage with each other, creating the illusion of a thriving online world. Back in 2016, bots already made up over half of the internet traffic. Today, there's still a huge presence. 2016 was also around the time when the theory gained traction in online forums such as 4chan. But why? One reason is that some people want to control what we see and think. Governments or other groups might use bots to spread fake news or shut down opinions they don't like. Companies also use bots to make money by boosting ads of products. Algorithms push content that gets lots of clicks, even if it's not real or good for us. In China, people often use this trick to make posts blow up on social media. Flip the switch, and one monitor shows a bunch of phone screens all at once. It's basically built out of regular smartphones, and putting it together is easier than you'd think. You strip the phones down to just the circuit boards, gather them in one spot, and hook them up to power in the internet. With the right software, a setup like this can run and control dozens of phones at the same time. Using that system, you can create multiple accounts and artificially boost likes and follows.
Understand, it's not necessary for people to believe this information in order to weaken democratic institutions. You just have to flood a country's public square with enough raw sewage. You just have to raise enough questions, spread enough dirt, plant enough conspiracy theorizing that citizens no longer know what to believe. Once they lose trust in their leaders, in mainstream media, in political institutions, in each other, in the possibility of truth, the game's won.
So, but the conversation here is clearly the internet is changing.
Yeah.
And it's changing very quickly. And the conversation that the public gets to input in this, you got the creators wanting to build bunkers. We're kind of sitting here going, oh, this can transcribe our Zoom calls. That's about it. But I want to get into a theory. We talk about conspiracy theories coming true a lot. One of the conspiracy theories is what's called the dead internet theory. It's been going around for a long time, over a decade on the internet. And you go to Forbes, and Forbes actually wrote about this, just to explain what this is to the audience. And this is, they say the dead internet theory is a belief that the vast majority of internet traffic, posts, and users have been replaced by bots and AI-generated content, and that people no longer shape the direction of the internet. So that questions who's shaping the direction of the internet.
Wow.
But again, that was a conspiracy theory for a very long time, but now we have a cybersecurity firm that put out their 2025 annual report. It's called a bot report, and this is Imperva, and they said this: for the first time in a decade, automated traffic has surpassed human activity, accounting for 51% of all web traffic.
What the heck?
So I want to describe, a bot is basically a robot. It's a computer, it's a software program that is working on the internet to imitate typically human beings, human behavior. And so that, according to Imperva, these bots are now starting to take over the internet. Again, this is conspiracy theory. Seems like it's coming true to a certain extent. And we go into an article written about that cybersecurity report, and it says, the rise in bots is down to generative artificial intelligence, Imperva said. This is the same technology that now flirts with people online for you and automatically writes heartfelt, conciliatory emails on behalf of heartless administrators. This tech has made it easier to create bots that do your bidding. While some of those bots are benign, not all have your best interest at heart.
Well, enter this TPUSA board member named Paul Vallely. Paul E. Vallely. I want you to look at this guy. And he is exactly the kind of board member that I would expect to be involved with Turning Point Faith. By way of background, Paul E. Vallely was a military commander. He was the military commander for none other than the 7th Psychological Operations Group. That's already compelling for me, right? The 7th Psychological Operations Group. And we just take a second to appreciate that our military is literally running mind wars. Mind wars. And that's what he did. Our military is engaged in them. That's why I keep telling you, when you're on the internet and you're just being yelled at, and they're just trying to break down your brain. They figured that if a bunch of people say something, you'll just follow the lead. That's what these bot farms are all about. I actually kind of subscribe to the dead internet theory, especially when I'm on X. I'm like, this is obviously run by the military. I've never seen the bots say we shouldn't go to war ever. And yet when I speak to people, nobody wants to go to war. So there you go.
It's fair to say then that some of the current challenges we face are inherent to a fully connected world. Our brains aren't accustomed to taking in this much information this fast. And a lot of us are experiencing overload. 20 years ago, pillars of web search were comprehensiveness, relevance, speed. But with the rise of social media and the need to better understand people's online behavior, in order to sell more advertising, companies wanted to collect more data. More companies optimized for personalization, engagement, and speed. And unfortunately, it turns out that inflammatory, polarizing content attracts and engages. And meanwhile, sophisticated actors, from political consultants to commercial interests to intelligence arms of foreign powers, can game platform algorithms or artificially boost the reach of deceptive or harmful messages. Of course, this business model has proven to be wildly successful.
You want to talk about a feedback loop. I mean, not only as you talk to the people that just agree with you, now you may not be talking to anybody at all, just a bunch of bots that are agreeing with you. I mean, they could just isolate you now into your own little world and you wouldn't even know it.
Right, or maybe they're not agreeing with you. Maybe they're causing you to believe something that's not true.
And there's that too.
Or emotionally tugging on something to create an emotional contagion. I mean, there's so many questions that need to be answered here. And so there's an FTC trial going on right now against Meta, Instagram, and some really interesting documents were found via discovery there. And this is the headline: Meta's execs frantic warning about Instagram's alarming fake activity numbers in spotlighted FTC trial. So this is from a 2018 email. It says, this is them writing this from 2018, before ChatGPT, before AI was unleashed, before generative AI, anything. 2018, they say, by some estimates, fake engagement could be in range of 40%, the executive wrote in a memo he attached to an email to Masari. The executive, whose name is redacted from the court papers, pushed Masari to commit more resources to Meta's well-being team, warning that a loss of public trust is the greatest threat we have, and that left unchecked, it will be crushing for the company. So they're saying there, look, if people knew that 40% of their engagement is fake, our company's done. Our business model's over.
Right.
We need to figure this out.
Who are we selling to? Who am I? Who is my audience? If I'm just talking to a non-audience, a fake audience, then what's the use of this platform?
Yeah, and so it's really interesting to see.
Are you all real out there? I mean, it makes you wonder, like, what's happening with the high wire? You guys, if you have a pulse, prove it right now in the comments. How would you prove you're a real human being? I'm curious. Right?
You're real. I'm real.
I know I'm real.
This chat's real.
That Reddit dead internet thing.
Reddit dead.
Did you see, Jamie? Do you know about this? Like, there's, I believe it might be a lawsuit. Oh. So this company used a bunch of chat bots. I believe it was on Reddit. I just sent it to someone. I'll find it if you can't find it. But I forget what the argument was about, but essentially they're getting in trouble for facilitating these fake arguments, like, as an experiment.
Oh.
Which is,
that's wild.
For sure, countries are doing that. Reddit threatens to sue researchers who ran a dead internet AI experiment on its site. Deeply wrong on a both moral and legal level. Worse yet, the AI models scoured the post history of users they were applying to in order to be as convincing as possible. Basically, a formalized trial run of the dead internet theory that much of the internet is already AI generated. You know about that theory?
Huh?
The AI dead internet theory. So the idea is that AI becomes sentient and completely fakes the internet.
So I want to know what happened between 2018, that conversation, and now for Meta, because now the headlines coming out of Meta is this great new PR push. This is the headlines. Meta opens floodgates, the word floodgates, for AI-generated accounts on Facebook and Instagram. So apparently they thought, this sounds like a great idea. Let's just maximize this. 51% of the internet, not enough. We want 100%. We want 99% of the internet. And so the conversation of the dead internet theory, it goes a little further because it's playing on people that are vulnerable. It's playing on people that have maybe challenges with mental health. There's a loneliness epidemic. All of this plays into how these AI bots are interacting, perhaps interfering with people's lives. And one of the biggest spotlights right now is a story from a Florida boy. This is the headline when it happened. Florida boy 14 killed himself after falling in love with a Game of Thrones AI chatbot. And it says in this article, on at least one occasion when Sewell, that's the boy, expressed suicidality to Character AI, that's the program, Character AI continued to bring it up through the Disnari's chatbot over and over, states papers first reported by the New York Times. And it has an image in here. This was the last chat he had with this artificial intelligence before this boy killed himself. And we're putting this out there because this is a warning. And you can see here, he says, I promise I will, this is him, I promise I will come home. I love you so much, Danny. I love you too, Nario. Please, this is the AI. Please come home to me as soon as possible, my love. He says, what if I can come home right now? And the AI says, please do, my sweet king. That was the last thing he wrote. And what this has led to is a landmark free speech court case. AI versus free speech is the headline. This is a lawsuit that could set landmark ruling following teen suicide. So this is the first case ever to decide whether AI is speech or not, because it's not a product of the human mind. So is it covered under the Constitution as free speech? This is Brave New World stuff.
That is really, really confusing and scary. And it's going to be a real issue for all these companies that are just letting AIs do so many things for them. It's about to become our doctor, as I've said in many ways. I think you're going to see a destruction of the medical profession because an AI can push a drug just as easily as a human being can with all the telemedicine and everything.
The First Amendment is a check on the power of the state. It doesn't apply to private companies like Facebook or Twitter, any more than it applies to editorial decisions made by the New York Times or Fox News. Never has. Social media companies already make choices about what is or is not allowed on their platforms and how that content appears, both explicitly through content moderation and implicitly through algorithms. The problem is we often don't know what principles govern those decisions. And on an issue of enormous public interest, there's been little public debate and practically no democratic oversight.
Think about those bizarre images, the endless crypto scam comments, the repetitive comments. On Facebook, AI-generated images have gone viral, such as various iterations of Jesus. Combined with shrimp, many of these images attract AI-generated comments, creating a cycle of artificial engagement. Most of the content you see online is mass-produced, low quality, and designed to get clicks. Facebook actively recommends these unlabeled AI-generated images to users, even if you don't follow the page that posted it, because the Facebook algorithm has found that these images generate high engagement, so it pushes it out to users. We even saw a video of Hollywood on fire, which gained a lot of attention and convinced a lot of people that it was real, but later found out it was generated by AI. Even Instagram experimented with AI-generated profiles to make the app, quote-unquote, more entertaining and engaging, and they still plan to add tons of AI-generated users to the platform. These are just a few of the many examples. There's also this AI agent that can search Instagram like posts and even drop comments all on its own, and it's 100% open source.
Search and social media platforms aren't just our window into the internet. They serve as our primary source of news and information. No one tells us that the window is blurred, subject to unseen distortions and subtle manipulations. It's that in the competition between truth and falsehood, cooperation and conflict, the very design of these platforms seems to be tilting us in the wrong direction. And we're seeing the results. People are dying because of misinformation. Any rules we come up with to govern the distribution of content on the internet will involve value judgments. None of us are perfectly objective. What we consider unshakable truth today may prove to be totally wrong tomorrow. But that doesn't mean some things aren't truer than others, or that we can't draw lines between opinions, facts, honest mistakes, intentional deceptions. We make these distinctions all the time in our daily lives. At work, in school, at home, in sports. And we can do the same when it comes to internet.
The internet is dead, and we killed it. AI-generated content by humans is killing the internet slowly, and most people don't even know it's happening. And the interesting thing is, it's not just sophisticated AI. There is an industry of people selling courses and methods on how to create hundreds of fake Instagram accounts. The goal? To flood the platform with low-quality content, 500 to 700 reels per day, all in the hopes of getting views and making money. It's quantity over quality, taken to the extreme. But the real question is the internet really dead? Well, the answer is yes and no. There are humans on the internet, but since the rise of generative AI, these AI models can create realistic text, images, and videos that are blurring the lines.
There's a lot of kooks, like people with schizophrenia, that get things right. Like they
Yeah,
see
that
things,
is kind of the problem, is they're not always wrong.
Well, eventually they're right. Like
Yeah.
Ted Kaczynski, the Unabomber, you know, that guy, his whole thing was that technology was going to overtake the human race.
Right.
And I think he's right.
People are dying because of misinformation. Understand, it's not necessary for people to believe disinformation in order to weaken democratic institutions. You just have to flood a country's public square with enough raw sewage. You just have to raise enough questions, spread enough dirt, plant enough conspiracy theorizing that citizens no longer know what to believe. Once they lose trust in their leaders, in mainstream media, in political institutions, in each other, in the possibility of truth, the game's won.